Hmm. Hello, I'm Sari Wild, and I've been describing this method to a lot of people lately, and it's one that I share with people when they connect with me and we are talking about working together and when money seems to be an issue. So I had a little opening created spontaneously in my schedule today, and I took that as a cue to hop on and share it with you before my next meeting. So this is a method I call 3 non-glamorous ways to come up with cash or to raise cash. I learned it from my coach, David Schwendiman, who is an incredible problem solver. I wrote in the description of this for the Facebook Live that he is an intrepid destroyer of problems. And he is one of the way showers in the Continuum, which is a space that I'm creating, a connection experiment now through July of 2022. And each month I'm paying one of my coaches or colleagues to create an offering for our community. And David's one of those. I'm calling them way showers. And he'll be in either April or May of this year. All right, so what other introduction would I like to give to this work? I like using the word non-glamorous, and I think I may have gotten that from Dave too, or it came up in our conversations about using these methods. Because there's just so much manifestation bull honky out there. And I think some stuff that borders on bypassy when it comes to enrolling a coach or a trainer into our lives to support us in our transformation or our growth or whatever you want to call it, our deep inner work. And it's something like, well, you hear a lot like, well, you'll do whatever it takes if it's really important to you. If it's aligned, it'll just happen, stuff like that. And I think what's extra yucky about those kinds of lines about coming up with money is that they're partially true. But they can be used for manipulation and to try to motivate us through shame. And that's just never ultimately going to work. As a coach, if you employ those kinds of tactics with people, you may be coming from trying to help them, but you're only going to be feeding back into their problems. And I've gone all the way down these roads myself. I've hired a lot of people and I've tried to hire probably even more than I actually have hired. And I've gotten really, really good at it. And I also will say that when I made the shift into hiring truly like the best and most aligned coaches to help me, I was homeless, pregnant. Do I have to say more than that? There was more. Wildfires were going on. It was insane. And there were plenty of reasons for me to believe that I could not afford the kind of help that I needed. And because of my amazing coaches, I was able to do that. And I know, I would like to say this, that no truly aligned coach will let you believe that you can't afford anything. And that doesn't mean that they're prodding you to go come up with the money. Part of the magic of employing this method is that it tends to flesh out where your commitment actually is. Okay, so here it is. I've got 19 minutes. Okay, so they range from, the first one I'm going to share is the most emotional labor. And I think I'm actually going to be doing another teaching on this at another time, because that one can go so deep. And then the third one is the most actual labor, and the one in between is in between. Okay, the first one is to simply ask for the money. The most emotional labor, I said. Now, there's this Byron Katie quote, and I don't think I'll get it verbatim, but it's something like, you can have anything you desire if you're willing to ask 1,000 people for it. I love this quote because when I heard that, I could feel it shifting my consciousness and just like blowing my mind wide open. Where my mind went with that is that, okay, let's go for something really big. Like, I would like to own a house. I do not currently own a house. If I was willing to ask 1,000 people for that, let's say I get 5 in to my 1,000 and I get all no's. Well, I'm going to get creative about how I'm asking for that. What I'm asking for precisely. And it's all going to come down to how I'm connecting with whoever I'm asking. My great discovery with this, and this is what I'd like to do another recording on, to just fully dive into the depths of this particular method, is that it's to ask in a way that honors the person, that blesses the person that you're asking, to truly look at it as you are inviting them to be a part of something magnificent that you're creating. Not coming at them like, like, I need help. That doesn't really feel good. That's not going to resonate with people. And so yeah, I'm going to leave it at that right now, just to consider that when you ask for, I mean, it can be anything that you're asking for, but before you ask, that you really sit with and contemplate how you can bless the person that you're requesting with your request, and what it is that you're actually asking for them to contribute to, which is your fabulousness, which is a blessing in this world, full stop. Now, a lot of people will say, I can't do that. Well, actually, the truth is, when you are saying that you actually won't. So you can. Oh my gosh. And I have a great story I have this old friend, and he loves to just like have crazy adventures and get in trouble, like arrested level, pushing the edges of life. And he like went to like a rocket ship launching, like a private one. I don't know anything about, what was it? Was it Elon Musk? I don't know. He does that kind of thing, doesn't he? Anyway, he went to this launch, and afterward, there was this VIP party on a jet. And there was this big bouncer at the door of the jet. And so he walks up to get on, go to the party, and the bouncer's like, do you have a pass to get into this party? And he said, oh no, I don't. And the bouncer said, well, I'm sorry, you need a pass if you want to go to this party. And he said, oh, okay. Do you have any? And the guy said, yeah, actually I do. And he handed 2 over for he and his friend, and they got into the party. So this is a little bit different nature than, honoring a person with an ask, but it's also like, well, you just really don't know unless you ask sometimes. And I love the way his brain works. Okay, the second one is to sell your things. Dave Schwendiman, who taught me these methods, he has the ultimate example of this that just inspires me so much. So when he was going to hire Gary Muller, who is a coach I've also worked with, an amazing coach, and he knew that, through their connecting, their conversations, and creating the proposal that Gary invited Dave to, that Dave just knew it was what was right for his work. And he was going through a divorce. He had 2 kids. He still does have 2 kids. He actually just got engaged, which is so wonderful. And he didn't have the money, but he knew that working with Gary was going to give him access to the kind of cash flow that he desired. So he sold everything in his home except for the beds and the clothes and the essential things. I don't know, cookware. He sold everything to hire Gary. You feel that level of commitment and clarity about, what he's going to do with that money. He wasn't going to sell all of his things to just, do something that maybe he thought was going to work. So this is what I mean about fleshing out your commitment, and it can help refine it as well to really get in touch with that. So he sold everything, and then he hired Gary, and it worked, and he bought all of his shit again. Probably better stuff too. So when I heard this story, I was like, oh, that's great, Dave. That's amazing. Wow, what a powerful story. I share this with people a lot. But I was like, but I don't have valuable things. That was my story. And I actually did engage this method when I first moved into this house, and I had, dodged a 3rd or a 4th wildfire to get here. And I really my nervous system was whacked. I'd been, I had my daughter was a baby. We'd been through a lot, and I got my stuff out of storage to move in here, and I sold a lot of things. I just had pretty houseware kind of things from my birth nest that I made when I was pregnant. And I made some money. I paid my rent with that, and it helped me hire some coaches as well. And and then I got to the point where I'm like, well, now there's nothing left that I could really sell that would be worth it, you know? And about a week later, it occurred to me that I have these sewing machines. I have some nice sewing machines. I used to, I went to school to learn how to do garment design and manufacturing. And I used to have a lot more sewing machines. But I was down to 2 essentials. And it occurred to me that I could sell those. And yet it was like I was so unwilling to sell them that it didn't even occur to me that I owned them. Like they were just completely off the table for something that I could sell. And that's when I really, really got in touch with that level of commitment. It's like, if I'm sitting here like I was at the time, you know, wanting to work with Dave Schwendiman or to continue working with him, and if I did not come up with the money in other ways, I would be pressed to my clarity of commitment and direction in working with him if I were going to go as far as to sell my sewing machines. And I don't get to sew that much these days. So it seems like, well, that wouldn't be a hard thing to do, but these are precious to me. So, and I still have them. And I've worked with Dave Schwendiman and others. Okay, so that's the one in the middle. That's, you know, a mix of emotional labor to let go of your stuff and actual labor to, you know, post things and put it out there and have transactions with people about it. Okay, the third one's just labor. And this is Arbitrage. And I think this comes from, I don't really follow his work closely, but Gary V. Vaynerchuk, I don't really know how to say his name, but I think this comes from him. That's what I've heard. So arbitrage is acquiring or purchasing things at a low cost, fixing them up and reselling them. Or even just like here, I live in a county, I live close to a university, and they're like the free piles are really off the hook sometimes. So if you treat it like a job, like say you go garage sailing on Saturdays and you get there first and you have the things you look for and you have your thing that you resell and post them and sell it for more. Sometimes a lot more, sometimes a little bit more. What I've heard about this is that, you know, if you really treat it like a job, you can make, you know, at least $1,000 a month doing this. What I did is I just kind of picked up whatever that seemed valuable to me. And I would troll free piles that were posted, you know, and try to get there as soon as I could and just pick stuff up. And then I would turn around and I would post it for sale. And, you know, it was work, you know, I mean, it was a big deal for me to get my daughter in the car and go pick something up. And I did a lot of this during COVID as well. So it's like, there was that initial thing of like, oh, then I can't do this because people aren't having garage sales and blah, blah, blah. Well, the free piles were still going on. And I bought some things that were just really low price to, you know, turn around and sell for more. Like some of them I didn't get because you have to be really on it to connect with people, you know, somebody's offering a really good deal. Like I recall seeing some sewing machines that were like $20 and I was like, holy moly, like those I could easily sell for, you know, double, triple, or quadruple that in the right place. I didn't score those sewing machines. So yeah, those are the 3 non-glamorous methods for coming up with cash for transformation. One of Dave's stories that really demonstrates for me, he's a role model in human design, by the way. So I just love to see those mechanics at work. He had a client who wanted to start, a potential client who wanted to hire him to help her start a natural cleaning business. And, they were in touch for quite a while, they'd connect, and he, suggested these different methods. And it turns out that through this process of coming up with the money to hire him and failing at it, finding that she wasn't willing on different, to engage this on different levels, that she actually didn't want to have a cleaning business. Like what it came down to, what would be required of her to operate it, was she just wasn't actually willing. It didn't feel aligned. It didn't light her up. So I love to hear that story, because I imagine, like, with all these different, tactics that people employ to enroll people in coaching, that, if he had succeeded at enrolling her as his, in with him as her business coach, like they would have had a rocky road together. Who knows what would have actually happened, because it was not aligned, and they would have not been successful one way or another. And that's, you want both the coach and the client to be successful. That's success. So I think that's a really powerful demonstration of how we can be guided sometimes by not having the money. So it's like I wrote in this description, I don't know if it came through on Facebook from Zoom, but like there's the way that this method can flesh out your commitment, so that, until you see that, oh, wow, I actually don't want to start a cleaning business, I just thought I did, that it's like, until you realize that, you're just kind of smashing your head against, a closed, locked door to you. And then there's another way that engaging with this method can actually get you in touch with your alignment, that can unlock and open doors as well. So I hope that helps. Feel free to reach out to me if you'd like more support around hiring somebody to support you in your process. It's actually one of my strange specialties. And it's not always me that people end up hiring. And it's a really, it's a powerful skill to have, to know how to enroll yourself and your coaches into your process of becoming fantastic you. So thank you so much for tuning in, and have a nice day, or whatever kind of day you're having. Ciao.